There's an old saying that goes, there's no I in team. However, there have been many players in football history who never seem to get it. So, from those who refuse to pass the ball, to those who don't care if their individual actions cost their clubs a match, these are 10 of the most selfish players in football. Number 10. Who better to start with than one of the most selfish of them all, Arjen Robben. The Flying Dutchman was without a doubt one of the very best players in his era. He had great speed, he wasn't afraid to take on the meanest defenders, and he had a good eye for goal. These all sound like the kind of qualities any coach would like a winger to have. But there was just one little problem. Robben hardly passed the ball to his teammates in attack. Sure, he did score a good number of the chances he created solo, but guess what? He never won the Golden Boot, which means he blew a lot of them too. Oh, let's not forget he wasn't topping the charts on assists either. But how could he when he was that selfish? Well, you can blast Robben's selfish play all you want, because the man himself doesn't care. This was evident in his interview with ESPN, where he said that selfishness is a quality. Number 9. One man who would certainly agree with Robben is Daniel Sturridge. He scored 11 goals in his first 12 matches for Chelsea, so his selfishness didn't matter too much at the time. However, when his scoring form dipped, everyone expected him to pass the ball more often. Well, he didn't. Even when his centres were screaming at the top of their lungs for the pass. Yeah, there's hardly any player on earth who prefers to take all the glory for himself than Danny Boy. His solo style of play was even more annoying anytime he fired miserably wide, or got dispossessed cheaply by an opposition defender. All you need to do is take a look at the faces of his teammates anytime he squanders a goal-scoring chance. Perhaps if Sturridge was a little more selfless, he might have reached the same heights as Wayne Rooney, Didier Drogba, Karim Benzema, and all the other team-minded strikers out there. Number 8. Speaking of heights, one player who certainly didn't reach the highest point of his career was Nani. Yes, I know, he played for Manchester United and the Portuguese national team regularly, but with his natural talents, he should have certainly done more. Nani had one problem though, he always thought he was the only player on his team. Hence the unreasonable goal attempts, unnecessary dribbles, and lack of interesting passing. One time, he even tried to steal Cristiano Ronaldo's goal-bound chip by tapping it in. The goal was eventually disallowed since Nani tapped the ball from an offside position. And as you can imagine, CR7 was pissed off. When Nani does manage to score, his selfishness comes into full display. Before hugging the rest of his teammates, he first does a dramatic flip and points both hands to the back of his jersey, just to remind the ungrateful fans who's responsible for the goal. How petty. Number 7. Next on our list is Luis Suarez, and this comes as a big surprise, being that he performed one of the most selfless acts in football history. Have you forgotten? Suarez stopped Ghana's goal-bound strike with his hands to keep Uruguay in the 2010 World Cup quarter-final, in exchange for a red card, of course. On that occasion, you can commend him for taking a huge bullet for his team, but on other occasions, he's just as selfish as they come. Quite the talent, Suarez was so used to spending too much time on the ball, all while showboating to whoever he felt was being entertained by his skills. No doubt, he banged in a lot of goals and was one of the most sought-after players in the world, but he becomes an absolute crybaby when things aren't going his way. Speaking of which, don't get too close to a frustrated Luis Suarez, because he might go Dracula on you. Just ask all the players he's bitten on the pitch. Number 6. As for Carlos Tevez, he wasn't biting anyone, but he certainly bruised the egos of the Manchester United faithful by dumping them to sign for their most hated rivals, Manchester City. In case you forgot, Tevez agreed to move to the blue side of Manchester in 2009 for a £50,000 increase in pay. The Argentine star didn't give a hoot, because as long as he was earning more money at the Etihad, then the Manchester United fans could cry all they wanted. Unfortunately for Manchester City, they too would feel the hard sting of Tevez's selfishness, because in 2011, he blatantly refused to come on as a substitute in a Champions League match against Bayern Munich due to a wage dispute. But it didn't end there, as he abandoned his team and flew off to Argentina to play golf. He even challenged the club's decision to suspend his wages after his unprofessional actions. What audacity! Number 5. Another South American makes our list, and this time it's Robinho, who single-handedly let his selfishness ruin what could have been a Ballon d'Or winning career. He was one of the hottest footballing commodities in 2008, and by then he wanted to leave Real Madrid at all costs. Let's not forget that Madrid was the club that brought him into the limelight. Anyway, after crying a bucket full of crocodile tears and threatening to retire from professional football if Madrid didn't let him go to Chelsea, he shocked the world by making a last-minute move to Manchester City instead. Now, how did that happen? Reports have it Robinho just wanted to earn the biggest paycheck possible, regardless of who was paying for it. So, he dumped a chance at winning Ballon d'Ors and Champions League trophies with Madrid for a bigger paycheck at City, who at the time was still emerging as a force in European football. Just to show you how much Robinho didn't care where he played, during his first press conference with Manchester City, he actually said he was delighted to have joined Chelsea. What a bummer! Number 4. So who remembers Nicolas Anelka? I'm sure most of us would, since the Frenchman has probably played for one of your favourite teams across his extensive journey through Europe. Yeah, Anelka was so selfish that he played for more teams in Europe than you can count on both hands, from one team to the other. Anelka was known to have fallouts with coaches, backroom staff, and even his teammates. I wonder who got into his head, because even as talented as he was certainly no Ronaldo Nazario. Still, teams as big as Real Madrid found him good enough to want him. However, this was a decision Los Blancos would later regret, as they were forced to hand him a 45-day suspension for missing several training sessions. He got booted out of PSG and the French national team too, and that cannot be a coincidence. Just take a look at how much he didn't care after he missed an important penalty kick for Chelsea in their Champions League final against Manchester United. Number 3. Moving on, and at number 3 we have Joey Barton, the hot-headed player who doesn't care if the world burns at his feet, as long as he proves his meaningless point. For those who don't know, Barton was quite the fighter, both on and off the pitch. He didn't care if he hurt his teammates either, as he had done more than once in the past. How can we forget the time he stubbed out a cigar in his teammate's eye? Oh yes, he did, and that, among many other similar incidents, have earned him long-term bans and prison time that kept him out of action for his team when they needed him the most. Number 2. Now one player who believes his team needs him more than he needs them is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The former Swedish captain is one of the best ever to do it, and he doesn't need you to admit it either. Zlatan has no problems blowing his own trumpet, as he'd said on multiple occasions that he's the best in the world, and no one else. One time, he was asked by an interviewer to name his strongest 11. Guess what Zlatan did? He put himself in all the positions, from goalkeeper to the striker. He capped it up when asked if he misses winning the Ballon d'Or. He responded by saying, "Do I miss the Ballon d'Or? No, the Ballon d'Or misses me." Number 1. Coming in at number 1 is a player that Zlatan believes he is definitely better than. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo, and he is arguably the most selfish player in the world. First of all, Ronaldo is the highest goalscorer of his generation, and considering all the tap-ins and headers he's buried, it's clear to see he prefers to be on the scoring end of things, not on the creative. Oh yeah, don't count Ronaldo letting you take a penalty either, not while he's on the pitch. So guys, if you think there are players out there who are more selfish than the ones we've discussed in this video, then you just have to hit the comments and tell us about them. And if you enjoyed watching this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.